board member of Decoding Dyslexia. My name is HELEN BLITVICH, and I'm a board member of Decoding Dyslexia Iowa. It's a parent organisation, it's national, and we advocate for students with dyslexia. Last year we successfully passed a bill that required all schools in Iowa to recognise dyslexia. And I'd like to thank the board members here for the up-and-coming perhaps board members coming this evening and listening to our questions. My question: at the end of the school year of 2016-2017, students who are in 3rd grade will be held back or required to do summer school if they have a substantial deficit in reading. Approximately 1 in 5 students are dyslexic, and these students struggle with reading, writing and spelling, and many of these students will be in that group of children. Given that Ames School District doesn't currently screen for dyslexia or have reading programs that support dyslexic students, how would you ensure that this group of students become proficient readers and are not held back in the 3rd grade?
Thank you for the question. That is a good question to ask. My wife is actually an elementary teacher. She's taught kindergarten, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and even done a little bit of time in 5th grade. I will tell you, it really comes back to the teacher and their ability to identify a student who's struggling with reading, and then to try and identify what it is that they're struggling with as a result of that. And I will say that most of our teachers are doing a good job of identifying that. I believe Mr. Rosser would attest to that they're very good at identifying the students that are at risk and then trying to find out why. As far as the district, I think that maybe something we need to come to a policy issue and look at. What can we do? What can we implement as a board to try and better identify students that are struggling because of a disorder such as dyslexia, and then trying to find the best practices to move forward so that we can get them on a plan and have it be successful and have them move on. I'm kind of passionate about the topic. My father struggled with some of that when he was younger, so I don't fully understand the process of it, but I can totally empathize with how it makes someone struggle as they grow and especially become an adult.
Thank you for the question. I really didn't know that we didn't identify dyslexia, at an earlier age. But having my kids go through the school district and go through elementary, it seems like the teachers are very open, and they work with the next class. So this is where they're at, and this is where they need to be. And it feels like with all my kids, if they're advanced, they're going to tell the next year teacher they need to be pushed a little further. And then some of our children that need a little more help in reading, they let them know. They let the next year teacher know that they need a little more help in these areas. And it seems like they've done a good job on individualizing everything between the different students. So I think identification early is very easy for our district to do with the way that everything's set up now and the communication between teacher from year to year.
Thank you for the question, and I agree with you that we don't have a widespread program for that. How we manage that right now is for a special education program in Darcy Cousins, and where they identify, hopefully, students as best as possible that need extra help. We use the Wilson program, which is a structured learning program that helps to advocate for those kids to find them the ways to deal with this. The issue about in a couple of years with No Child Left Behind being held back, there's bipartisan support to change that. Hopefully that'll get done. My child had a definite reading problem in 1st and 2nd grade and was in an IEP to go through that program. And I was very happy that we had the program in place to help her, because now she's fluent and able to move forward. But it was quite stressful as a parent to see your child struggle. And I thought it would impact her through math, through all the other social studies, everything she was doing. Plus I felt she was singled out in some ways. And I can sympathize with you. So I want to make sure that we talk with our administration team to see, okay, what are we doing now? What things can we do better? Talk with parents, talk with teachers to look for opportunities.
Well, thank you to your organization, because I know that you made some big impact at the state level in getting this passed. And that's important for all of us to be aware of and to learn from the things that you are paving this path for us. And I think that anything that we can do to better prepare our teachers and our staff to be able to have early identification with those readers is going to be beneficial. That's what the research shows. So I think as a school board, continuing to work with our curriculum staff to identify, are we identifying them early enough, and then what is the curriculum that we are providing? Because the way I understand it, there's a specific form of curriculum that best fits dyslexic students, and making sure that we're providing that for those students so that they can succeed.
As some of you may know, my son was diagnosed with dyslexia when he was in second grade, and it was to the benefit of a mature, very experienced teacher that the first few weeks of second grade, she came to us as parents and said, there's something just isn't right. Now, I would say though, it wasn't until second grade that we knew that. And I do feel that we ought to work with our curriculum specialists and it not just be a special ed issue. We ought to have some screening in first grade so that we can start identifying the students, because the sooner we can get them assistance, the sooner they can start to progress. In my own situation, it was wonderful. We identified it quickly. The services that Carol Page and the rest of the fellow staff were fabulous. And by the end of fourth grade, he was able to get off his individual education plan. He's in seventh grade now and maybe reading at a high school level. But my wife and I know very well that we're a family of needs. There are a lot of families in our community that don't have those resources to really deal with it. And they have to rely more so on the school district to help them, or at least steer them to the proper resources to find the other resources in the community to get that help. So,
thank you, Louis.
You're welcome.
The next question will come from the Emergency Residence Project, and the first response will come from Nathan Buss.
Thank you for your willingness to serve the families and children of our community. My name is Vic Moss. I'm Director of Emergency Residence Project. We're a shelter in Ames that helps those that are homeless and also the many hundreds of people that are facing homelessness in our community. Last year, we helped hundreds of children, and for everyone we helped, we turned away about 3 people. We simply didn't have the capacity to help. My question is, what do you think the school district could do to help improve the situation to deal with the problem of housing insecurity and children that show up not ready to learn because of other basic needs? I know there are no easy answers, but I think it's a big problem that we really need to address. Thank you.
Thank you, Vic. And Luke and I were fortunate to listen to Vic talk at the Leadership Ames class a couple years ago. And through his speech and the way he presented himself, we awarded him a check for all the things that he does to help him and his group out. But homelessness in Ames it's a big thing, and our school district is a big thing. I mean, there's anywhere between 150 to 200 kids that are homeless in the school district at any time. National average, we're right on track, 5%. What the board and the school can do, it's a little harder, a little tougher. You know, we always run into budget problems and things along that. But you know, the way that my wife and I always looked at it is, you know, I probably should put out there, but challenge everybody in this room to get involved in the homeless and get involved with Vic. If you see somebody and a child in need, you help them. If everybody in this room helped, and if everybody in the town helped, and homelessness and what the kids needs and breakfast, and you know, my daughter went to recess when this girl always wore a Colts jacket and a SpongeBob hat. Well, you know, she knew that, so then we got her jacket, slid it to the teacher, and the teacher slid it to her, so she could have that need and wouldn't feel left out. So it's, yes, the school board can help, but everybody in this room could make a huge difference.
Thank you for the question. You know, I was actually specifically worried about this and met with United Way a couple months ago. Eunice Michael is our district representative and has great connections with all different organizations that are looking out for these children. I was curious to know what could the school district do. I was pleased to know that from those meetings we are connecting the right people. So I can't tell you I want to go in this direction with what we could do to help, but I know that that through the work of our administration team that they're looking for different things to do. Anything we can help to have students in classroom both fed and well as safe when they go home is what we need to look for.
Thank you for everything that you do, Vic. Your service is amazing for this community. So, you know, it is, the children come into our Ames Community School District every day carrying so much. And so I think our responsibility as educators is to make sure that we are doing our very best to ensure that they're being taken care of. If that's identifying community resources and programs that can support them, then we need to make sure we're doing that. Is it working with our school counselors so we can identify what those insecurities are, if it's a housing issue, if it's a nutrition issue, but really making sure that we're watching for those kids so that we can provide them support, because coming to school for them, getting there, getting food is sometimes a huge achievement, and so then expecting them to come into the classroom and read and learn math is an even bigger challenge for them. So making sure that we're identifying them and supporting those community groups that are doing so. So thank you.
Yeah, Vic, thank you very much for the work that you guys do on behalf of the children and families of Ames. You know, a lot of times as I've been talking to people running for the school board, this question, or they question homeless, and it's like, no, it's not, you know, a family living down by the river in a tent. It's understanding what that means in Ames. It could mean a teenager who's been either forced or ran away from home and is couch surfing. You know, it could be a younger mother with 1 or 2 children who is using shelter services, doesn't know where she's going to be, is lost for rent, has to move to another place. It's that insecurity that those children bring to school and make the learning difficult. I think the school district has been doing good advocate for that, but there is more that we can do to provide more support to the counselors in the individual schools when these needs arise, because sometimes they're fairly immediate, they need to be addressed fairly quickly, and if the resources aren't there to do that, then, you know, it's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it's an excellent question. I know I grew up north of Ames and not in town. And I always remember growing up thinking, yeah, Ames has gotten so good. And I've lived here since '99, and I realize now, where I didn't when I was younger, that, you know, Ames, like most communities, has families and individuals that are struggling. Sometimes just getting by is hard. As far as the school district, you know, we have great counselors and staff in our elementary buildings and in all of our buildings that are constantly working and identifying the students that are coming to school without the proper clothes or without being fed, and then we're trying to get them the clothing that they need and fed. But what can we do as a board to impact it further? I think Nathan hit it head on. I think it comes back to advocacy. I think it comes back to us as representatives of the community, going back out to the community, to our neighborhoods, to our churches if we go to church, and reaching out to them and saying, hey, we have needs, and trying to work with them to identify and pull in the resources that are possible so that we can spread the wealth and blessing that some of us have and give it to those who maybe are less fortunate.